morning, guys. I'm exhausted. Going on like day 15 of no days off. But we're on our way over to New England Muscle Cars to work on the 69 GMC, do some more wiring on that, and we're driving the race car today because I didn't feel like driving the Ranger. And as always, first stop is Dunkin' Donuts. The correct way to merge. So why am I on day 15 or so of no days off? We just have that much work to get done. I've been working on my truck, the Avalanche. It's like 3 months overdue to get finished. I got the 6.2 in it yesterday, fired it all up, everything's running perfect. Did a quick little bit of idle tuning to get all that good from the swap to bigger displacement and bigger injectors. Took it for a couple of rides, then realized the aftermarket rear main seal I put in it didn't want to seal the rear main anymore. 100% my fault. Lesson learned. There wasn't any GM ones quickly available when I needed it. They had an aftermarket one down the street. No. So that, I put the engine in it, took it for a couple drives just to pull it back in, take the transmission out. So it's sitting on the lift right now, ready for a factory rear main that's going to get here on Tuesday. Today is Sunday. Today's Sunday, by the way. Going down the shop again on Sunday. It's no longer becoming a rare appearance. So I'm going to do some laying out of the harnesses. I made a board so we can mount all the modules underneath the seats. We're going to get all that in there. Try to get some powers and grounds run today. The battery tray is there in the battery, so I can install that and do some main battery cables. And we'll figure out what else I'm going to do when I'm there. All right, we've arrived. So remember last video how I said we had this brand new Chevelle Roadster Shop chassis, but no car to put it on or under? Enter this 69 Chevelle he just picked up. Super clean, full Hotchkiss suspension, 496 crate motor, Tremec TKX, super clean. Interior's all there. He's actually got another set of seats too that the guy gave him, a set of, I believe, the TMI seats. So Tremec TKX, or in case I didn't mention that already. So what's going to happen with this is that body and interior is going to go on that frame. Drivetrain is not. Transmission is. Engine is not. We're going to pull the engine and save that for some other project. And this is going to get an LS3 with a GM hot cam and a couple little odds and ends. And then he's also going to put vintage air in it and Dakota Digitals. And that will also be going to Barrett-Jackson, New Orleans. So now we have, that's going to Barrett-Jackson, New Orleans. This is going to Barrett-Jackson, New Orleans. Hopefully the C10 is going to Barrett-Jackson, New Orleans. They're actually getting ready to do all the body work on it this week. So that should start getting some color laid down on it. I think they picked a charcoal grayish color from what I saw from the renderings. But here we go. All right, so my battery tray's in that box. This is the board I made to put underneath the seats. It's gonna go right there. And they've drilled the hole in the firewall to run the wiring. So I'm gonna run the wiring, figure out where exactly I'm gonna mount my board, figure out what orientation I'm gonna mount the modules on. We also got in last week the Dakota Digital BIM module. So this little module right here will plug in line with the Holley scanner or handheld port and allow all of the... Oh man, I'm tired, let me tell you. I'm not lying when I say 15 days and I need a nap. So that'll go, all the data for the handheld will go through that now and into the Dakota Digital. So I'm gonna get going on some of that stuff and I'll bring you in on the progress in a little bit. All right, it's starting to look like something. They got the glove box in. Not done, but it's in. Here we go. Here's my basic layout. So I've got my stuff for the Terminator run in there. I still have to run one main power and ground, which is gonna go to these bus bars. Right off of the battery, right to these two bus bars. And that way I have clean battery fed power to everything I need here, to all my powers and grounds that come off of these harnesses. And it's gonna be nice and clean. And then I have to run, they give you an adapter for this, a vacuum hose out that's gonna go under the intake. But we're gonna get this this mounted down in here. So I'm gonna run these under the carpet and slit it to come through. And also these relays will be mounted here too, nice and clean and neat. But I'm pretty happy with that. That's gonna be a nice looking little setup. I might spread these out just a little bit to give them some room in between. But whenever you're powering this stuff, you always want to go directly to battery power. You don't want to power it off of a wire that's coming out of anywhere or whatever. Your battery acts as a really good, for lack of a better word, filter buffer to filter out noise, electrical noise and stuff. So that's why anytime you have stuff like this, they always tell you anyways, run it directly to battery. Do not run it to like a source out of your fuse block or whatever, because the battery will absorb a good amount of electrical noise and make it so you don't have to use Farad magnets or stuff like that to try to counteract any noise you might be picking up from either ignition systems or anything else in the car. But I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So I'm going to do some mounting of all these things on this board and then start running the wires underneath that and slitting and whatnot and all that good stuff. I'm just going to take one look underneath. Actually, I can probably see right here. So the holes for the seats are right there. So all right, so we should have plenty of room to get around those two. So let's get going on that. All right, we're getting somewhere. Where that is, I have no idea, but we are there. These are my two. I've got to cut these down and terminate them to give my power and ground buses power and ground. And then I've got to clean up some of that stuff. All this stuff has to be wired into powers or grounds or into here. I still have to run, so we've got my fan control coming from the Holley that's got to go out through that hole. This is the gray wire for the transmission harness for the brake power to unlock the converter when you hit the brakes. I've got to get, this is my fuel pump wire, so this is staying out. This is my main battery power that's going to go to the battery once it gets mounted over here. These two have to go inside. Red has to go to battery power, and blue and with a white tracer, that is my tachometer feed. So that is going to actually go in and right to here, to the tach. And so that signal will go out after to a, that's the other thing we got to get, is a really long pair of Cat 5 cables. So that'll go into here and then Cat 5 cable out into the cluster, which will be mounted in there, and eventually everything will look all pretty. Right now, even I'll admit this is an absolute mess because I'm just trying to get everything roughly laid in here, and then I have to position the harnesses under the rug and tape them all, zip tie them all nice together and tight and tape them down to the floor, so that we have the most minimal profile going underneath the rug there of the wires going up front. Thankfully there's jute on this, so that's pretty forgiving. So I'm gonna get back to it and get some more stuff done here, and I'll grab you again, that's dirty, when I get some more stuff done here. Is it exactly how I envisioned it? No, but Is it going to work, and is it neat and clean and nice looking? Yep. So here's what we got. Got all the rest of my lines in. My fuel sender, yellow for dimmer, blue for high beams. Everything's all run up over to there. Let me point you in the right direction so I can get to my under dash connections. Unfortunately, Holley does not make the harnesses long enough to do anything good with these fuses and the relays. I would love to have run them down on the side and got them all on the side on each side. Like this one, I actually had to elongate, and one of the fuse ones too, because they were in the middle of the floor, and that's not going to work if you need to ever do any diagnostics, or you have a fuse that blows or a relay that fails. But that's that'll work just fine. Got the battery junction block mounted. I decided to put it there because I had the battery tray, which is over there, in here, and I don't need to mount it that low. I thought the battery tray was going to be a lot closer to the core support, but it actually juts out a good amount. So, and it gives me a bunch of room behind it to be able to run my main battery cables to this and out, and my cooling fan relay will go here, and I'm actually thinking of putting my fuel pump relay up here too, instead of mounting it somewhere over there, so I have all my relays in one area. So it will just make it neater. It'll keep the engine bay clean and open. I have enough slack with this green wire to run over to there, and I have enough slack where I tied it up underneath the vehicle to run up to here too. And that way I can run that up along with the battery cable that's going to go to this, that goes down to the starter. We're getting somewhere. Little by little. It's taken me literally hours looking at my watch that doesn't exist, but I am very happy with this. So we're going to end up actually velcroing this down to the floor, so we don't have to screw and put any holes into the floor. And I believe, I already talked to him, but I think we're going to run the wire for the Holley handheld up under there too, and actually mount it in the glove box. So you pop your glove box, your Holley display is right there. A couple other things I didn't tell you guys about. So door seals. So these door seals are actually from an 06 to 11 Honda Civic 4-door, and they fit these trucks perfectly, and they give you a door seal that doesn't have a cut, so you don't have a gap anywhere to have to fill in, and they work. You put the right side Honda Civic door seal on the left side of the truck and vice versa, and those work. So in case you're looking for door seals to fit your old school 60, I forget what the brake gear is, but whatever the brake gear that 69 GMC falls into. And then we have Trick Manufacturing door latches. So these door latches, it's TRIQUE Manufacturing. These things make it so these close so nicely. I mean, if you know anything about the original latches on these trucks, they are, I don't want to say horrible, we'll just say they leave a lot to be desired. So, but that door seal hack could come in handy for a few of you, instead of trying to source out original ones, or you want one that doesn't have a cut and a gap, blah blah blah. All right, we're gonna get back to doing some more wiring. You can tell I'm thrilled, can't you? Big moment. I've got the jump box on there powering my fuse block, which has all its fuses in it now, and we're going to find my switched ignition power. Now obviously the one off of the ignition switch is switched ignition, but there is going to be another line in here somewhere that I can tap into to power all of my stuff here. So let me find that and hook that up, and then I can make sure all this powers up. Well, every ignition power I have found so far turns off when cranking. You can't have that. To power all this stuff, you need to have a solid ignition on even when cranking. So I'm gonna do some more looking. It's not often, I'll admit, when I was an idiot. But I was just an idiot. I was having so much trouble trying to find a switched ignition source that stayed powered while cranking. And so I was turning the ignition switch with a screwdriver because I didn't have the lock cylinder in it. Could not find a single source. Every one of them turned off when cranking. Until I thought, let me put the key in the ignition switch, because maybe I'm overturning the switch, which is causing my ignition to turn off when I crank it that far. And let's see, let me put you down here so you can see. With the key in it, I'm good. Jesus Christ, I'm an idiot. All right, guys, let's see. I've got everything temporarily wired up here to the jump box so I can see if all this works. Oh, I just knocked my temporary wire out. There we go, we're back in business. So, Holley is powered up. Good to go. Dakota Digital is powered up. The VIM box is powered up. All this stuff has to be programmed and configured. So that's why it's not showing anything yet. And we are, I think, good to go. Let me cycle this power again since I keep moving my temporary wire. Here we go. So there we go, reboot. Now it should go to the TPS screen. Here we go. We are good. Once again, it's a lot of work that's tedious and not worth filming, but it all works. All right, next circuit we're going to find is my not so much interior lights, but the power that I'm going to use for the interior lights. So I just need something that in parking light and headlights is powered, and that gives the signal to the Dakota Digital to dim the dash. That's really the only dimmable part in this entire truck, because everything else is LED and controlled otherwise. It's not controlled by the old thermistor type heatsink that they use. So I'm on my, what am I on here? I'm on my parking lights here, so let's see. So parking lights, oh, I got power. Okay, headlights, oh, I still got power. And when you shut them off, they shut off. So I'm going to tap into that circuit, and that's going to be my illumination feed for all my LEDs throughout the dash. We're one step closer to making fun noises. So, ignition power, everything is wired now. Oh, we're good. Everything's powered up. We're good there. We also have illumination through the headlight switch now. So, we got to start doing the outside wiring, and then I got to do the main battery wiring actually, and then we should be able to crank the engine over. So once I get the battery in here and I can put my terminal connections onto my distribution and power them to the starter, get my grounds to the body and the engine, get this harness powered on the red wire, and this pink ignition feed out here is going to go all the way over, and that is going to power my relays for the fuel pump and for the cooling fan. But I think that's going to be a wrap for today. That's a good amount of work actually. It took me a solid 2 hours to get that thing nice and neat and clean, and then I was ready to go home, but I made quick headway with getting the lights and the ignition power and all that stuff going. So I'm gonna go jump in the race car, maybe go get some food. I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to cook tonight or not. We'll see. Correct way to merge. done today. It's always a good accomplishment when you got all of your main modules and everything working off of the car's ignition switch. So that's awesome. So everything powered up, no problem, and ran. Illumination's done like you saw. Ignition power's done like you saw. During the week, I'm going to have them get the battery tray and the battery in so I can do my main battery cables next week. And we are that close. Actually, once I get the main battery cables done, all I got to do is put the wire, my starter solenoid wire on, which is in that American Auto wire harness, and we can crank that over. I don't know. So the tank that's in it, I got to see if that's the final tank, because they said they have to move it around or do something, but the power to the fuel pump still isn't hooked up. But I mean, I could probably do all that next week. So we're almost there. It's almost time to make noises and stuff.